something I've been saying like the last few weeks. I want to make sure you not only survive, but that you thrive in a time like this, because whenever there are major shifts, and it can be major shifts in the economy, major shifts in life, major shifts in just the balance of things, along with that comes major opportunities, but you have to have your mindset kind of calculated in the right place, in the right format, looking for those opportunities in order to find them. Even speaking of the economy a second ago, even when we see those major changes in the economy itself, there's always large transfers of wealth. Like, how do people tap into those transfers of wealth? How can they focus on that when everything around them seems like it's falling down and falling to pieces? That is exactly what we'll talk about today. My name is Lamar Tyler. I'm the creator and founder of Traffic, Sales, and Profit. We help entrepreneurs do three things: drive more traffic, convert more sales, and grow the amount of profit in their businesses. And I'm also the co-founder, along with my wife, Ronnie, of blackandmarriedwithkids.com. We are the world's largest African-American marriage and parenting site. We're streaming everywhere, right? We're streaming to our Traffic, Sales, and Profit properties, our Black and Married with Kids properties. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We are everywhere all at once, because this is a very, very, very important conversation. I see folks coming to the chat already. Hey, do me a favor. As you come in, this is what I want you to do. I want you to drop a comment down below letting me know what your name is and where you're from. Let me know what your name is and where you're from down in the chat. I want to see who we have joined with us today, right? I want to make sure we have everybody with us before I bring on our special guest in just a second. She is amazing. You guys are going to love her. I already know it. So we're about to get right into it in just a second. I see him coming in. I see names coming in. Awesome. All right. While you guys are dropping your names down below, I want to share who we have joining us so that we can get today started. Today, we're talking about how to move your mindset from surviving to thriving with Precious Bivings, a.k.a. Coach P, right? Precious, also affectionately known as Coach P, is a recognized mindset performance coach, acclaimed MC, a TEDx speaker and host who helps influencers, leaders, and badasses grow from stuck to a success mindset. Her straight shot, no chaser approach allows for an authentic self-reflection that undoubtedly leads to eliminating your limiting beliefs that impact your success on every level. Her coaching practice, Surrender, Work, Live, Coaching and Accountability, is the vehicle she uses to empower leaders to eliminate excuses and mash the gas in order to make amazing success happen. She is the host of the highly anticipated MashCon 2020 conference. We'll talk about that. The More Retreat for leaders, influencers, and badasses, and the author of the self-help memoir, More Tequila, Please, Life Lessons on Heartbreak, Triumph, and Making Amazing Blank Happen, right? To connect with Coach P, visit MashConATL.com and other social media. Follow on Instagram. We'll talk about that in just a second. Guys, please join me in welcoming to today's conversation, Precious Bivings. What's going on, Precious? How are you?
Hey, happy Friday. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I see we got a lot of folks already in the chat all over. We got Atlanta. We got Chicago. Is that my good friend Dr. Ava in Northern Ireland has joined us. Decula, Georgia. Charleston, South Carolina. York, PA. Greenville, South Carolina. What's up, Angela? Angela on the other side of Atlanta is here. Houston, all over the place, right? People are clocking in. So this is a great conversation. I wanted to have this on. I asked you to come join us today because I'm always a big fan, right, of people shifting their mindset in order to do growth. And me and Ronnie have been talking about this for a long time. We started Black and Married with Kids. One of the things we told couples that in order to have their best marriage, have their best relationships, they need to kind of shift their mindset in the way they think about each other, the way they think about the legacy they want to leave, the way they think about their families and relationships. Of course, as we transition to Traffic, Sales, and Profit, we've been working with entrepreneurs about how they can actually begin to shift their mindsets around what's possible, around the prices they charge, the products and services they can create, about how they show up, not just in their business, but in their lives in order to fulfill really their destiny for their products and services, how they impact other people. But now we're stuck in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah. We're stuck in the middle of an economic collapse, right? We have soaring unemployment numbers and all this other stuff coming on. Have you seen a renewed focus, or maybe a new focus for a lot of people around mindset and trying to navigate through all of this?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think in this space and time during the pandemic, a lot of people either decided to either panic or pivot. They've decided either to freak out or find new ways to find more success. And so a lot of the people who I've been able to communicate with, hear from, to coach, and to inspire have definitely been moving in this mindset of I'm ready to go higher. I'm ready to do something different. I'm ready to see it differently. On the other hand, there are several people who are still in that stuck phase of I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to move. I'm not really sure what's okay for me. I'm not really sure what's necessary for me in this time and space. And so I've seen both mindsets for sure.
So, guys, and if you're just joining again, my name is Lamar Tyler, creator and founder of Traffic Sales and Profit. We're joined today by Precious Bivings, aka Coach P. And Precious is one of our actual mindset performance coaches with the TSP Mastermind, a community of 100 businesses that we work with over a 12-month span to help them reach the next level, right? Whether that's, getting from 5 to 6 figures, 6 to 7, and soon we'll have our first 8-figure business. So Coach P, as we kind of talk about this, right? People feeling stuck, you mentioned, and them being in this place. And then all of this happening, right? Because people feel that kind of way every day. I mean, am I wrong?
Right.
Like before
Yeah.
all of this, people felt that kind of way. We talked about how can we get people unstuck and move them forward and get them to the next level of where they need to be. Like what do you do? Like when somebody comes to you and they say like, I just don't feel like doing anything, or I just don't feel like hitting the next level, or I don't even know if the next level is for me. I mean, what do you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, most people show up in this space of, trying to figure out if they're even worthy of it. And so I always start with the core of everybody's self-doubt, lack of confidence, or being in a stuck place. And for the majority of the clients that I get to coach, who are leaders, influencers, they're the trailblazers, they're the ones who are making it happen. Their issue is typically rooted in not so much the day-to-day technical piece of it, but they get stuck in the mindset of, am I really, really ready for this? Am I smart enough? Do I know enough? Have enough people seen me? Have I had enough clients? Have I made enough money? Do I know the right people? And so the root of it always is understanding that, number one, you're ready, right? There's somebody who's at the level that you have expertise at, who is willing to buy from you, who is willing to listen to you, who is willing to take your leadership. But most people get stuck in their own lack of self-confidence in order to move in that space. And so my question to that person is always, why not you? Right now? Why not this thing that you say you want to do? What excuse are you willing to make as to why it shouldn't happen? Because a lot of people, especially during this time and even before this time, have decided to use, especially this pandemic, excuse to who are those are the people who are stuck. Why not use this as an excuse to make it happen? So that's the question that I typically throw back to them.
All right, so I think that perspective is great, right? Because Vanessa, shout out to Vanessa down in the comments. She said, I get caught up in saying, well, the last time I did this blank happened. And I can see a lot of people saying, well, the last time, we were in a recession, right? 2008, 2009, I lost the house. The last time, like the business fell apart. The last time, I was trying to start a business, but I wasn't able to get it off the ground. And I just, should have kept my job. I just, should have did some things differently on my 9 to 5 for the folks that work a 9 to 5, or I should have had a second job, or, people think all these different things. But at the same time, the same way people think that, like the way I'm wired, I'm thinking that, all right, in 2008, 2009, I made it, but I didn't take advantage of the opportunity. I made
Right.
it, but yeah, like we got a house to live in, but I didn't get 5 or 10 other houses when the market was just right for you to collect, right, and scoop up all those different things. So how can they shift from like that glass half empty to glass half full perspective and start to look for the actual opportunity that exists in a climate like this?
Yeah, that's another good question, Lamar. I think the first thing is to figure out what is it that you desire. What do you want to come out of this? Because the root of most people's desires is happiness, right? You want a nice bank account at the end of it so you can be happy, so your kids can have more opportunities, so that they can be happy, so that you can afford more opportunities for other people so that they can be happy. So what do you want? And then once you decide what you want, let's make a definitive decision about you being committed. I talk a lot about commitment and consistency. A lot of people aren't willing to actually commit to what they say they want. And so of course, commitment is a big, hairy word for a lot of people. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to do something. I got to commit to something in a way that I never have. I got to move it differently than I ever did. Now I got to be more responsible. And so the commitment piece isn't really a big, hairy deal, right? It's you being willing to commit to what it is that you said you wanted to experience in your life. And then that second piece of it is your consistency. A lot of people get afraid of consistency because they feel like, oh my God, consistency is about perfection. That means I got to do everything the same way all the time. Well, let's take working out, for instance. If you said you wanted to lose weight and I'm going to commit to and be consistent with working out 7 days a week, but you fall off and only do 4 days a week, most people stop altogether and deem themselves unworthy because they didn't go the whole 7 days, when that is absolutely ridiculous. Get back on and keep moving forward so that the next week, maybe you'll hit the 7 days, or the next week, or the next week. But most people end up dropping out too early in the game. And so they don't show up in that committed space. And commitment is about marrying your action with what your desired outcome is, marrying your action with what you said you wanted to achieve. And so that means come hell, come high water, come a pandemic, come an epidemic, come somebody passing away in my family, come, a kid not behaving the way I want them to. I'm not just going to find an excuse to lose. I'm consistently looking for an excuse to win. And not just survive a thing, but thrive through it.
Now, I already know there's somebody watching, Precious, that says, I'm just made this way. I just was born this way, right? I mean, you ever hear that? When you ever hear, people come to you and say, well, Coach Peter, it's easy for you to say because I was just born this way, or I grew up in this kind of environment, or my mama used to tell me this, or my dad used to tell me that. But people can't actually grow from a place that they're in, right? I mean, that is what the whole, fixed versus growth mindset piece is about, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and even for myself, like I didn't come from, this, you can do it, go make it happen type family, right? Everybody came from different backgrounds, but there was a knowing for me. Like I knew that whatever I had experienced, from Bankhead projects to the Kindred projects in South Carolina, like understanding that where I'm at is not where I want to be, was enough knowing for me. Now it was about moving in a space of committing, right, to what I wanted to have happen. Now, the other part to it is people give up too quick because they want to go from 0 to 100. So for those people that are like, I was born like this. Yeah. Okay. So now what's your new story? You can commit to that same story, that same narrative, or you can write a new story. You can write a new script. And in that new script, while you're making assumptions, while you're committing to only seeing your life one way, make a commitment to see your life differently. So one of the things that are very simple to do in order for you to show up in this space is to write the vision and make it plain. Like figure out what you want. If you're listening to this live, if you're in the traffic sales and profit community, if you're in Black and Married with Kids, like wherever you are, you've already decided that you want something different. So instead of showing up in this space of harping about what used to be, step into your now and allow your desire, what you want to experience, your new quality of life, to help you create the vision that you want to now outlive. Because it's later for making excuses about what used to be when you're still playing a story of what happened back then. All you have is now. You don't have tomorrow because it hasn't happened yet, and yesterday has already passed. So my thing is, get committed to being present so that you can create a new vision that has nothing to do with what used to be. And that's just not for people who have had situations that they feel have held them down, but that's also for people who have had success. You don't get to live in what used to be. You was the man in high school. You was the man in college. Now it's time to figure out how can you be the man, be the person in today. And so show up in your now so that you can create a new vision and, of course, move in the direction of what it is that you want to accomplish.
That's very good. Hey guys, I see the comments are going crazy. If you just joined us, my name is Lamar Tyler, creator and founder of Traffic Sales and Profit, and co-founder with my wife Ronnie of blackandmarriedwithkids.com, the world's largest African-American marriage and parenting site. We're joined today by Coach P, Precious Bivings, right, mindset and performance coach. She has a lot of amazing things going on we're going to talk about in just a second. But she's breaking down, and we're talking about mindset. How can you kind of shift in a place from I'm just going to survive this, let me just get through it, to I'm going to actually thrive. And on the other end of this, by the time it's over, I'm going to come out in a better place mentally. I'm coming out in a better place physically. Do you know that there are people that are coming out of this in a better place financially? Like, do you even realize that if you are watching this right now, right? Me and Coach P, we're around these people every day because I work with a whole bunch of them. But people literally, just because this is the story that the news is telling you doesn't mean that you have to subscribe to it. Just the story, because that's what everyone else, or what you may see going around you, don't mean that I'm going to partake in that. Because I can tell you my story is going to be totally different by the end of this thing, right? Because I'm writing it. And Coach P, you talked about that piece about writing your story, and I see a lot of people comment about that, and then they hooked on that. But what it also reminded me of is that while people take the process, right, and they begin to write their story, sometimes they're writing the wrong story. And sometimes, we always talk about, like, what is the actual story that they're telling themselves, and beginning to put all of these things in their head. I mean, so many times I had somebody come up to me and say, Lamar, are you mad at me? And I'm like, mad at you for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I'm trying to get these 12,000 people in TSP to the other side of this freaking pandemic and make sure all our businesses are here. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I'm trying to make sure all my employees are still my employees by the end of this thing, right? And we can keep them on the payroll. I'm trying to make sure my family is safe and my teen ain't trying to be going outside to the movies and stuff when ain't nobody supposed to be going outside. You know what I mean? These are the things I'm thinking about. I ain't thinking about, what's going on. But a lot of times, right, I get in these conversations with people and I'm just like, how did they connect point A to point Z, right? All on their own without ever including me, without ever including, maybe it's not even me, right? The other person that they're thinking about. I know you got to see that sometime. Like how do people kind of begin to craft these stories in their head that sometimes lead them down the wrong path? And how can we stop ourselves from doing that?
Yeah, that's another good one, man. You hitting us with the heavy hitter questions today, Lamar. So a part of that is the ego, right? The ego's job is meant to protect. And by protect, I mean keep us comfortable. And so it'll do so by any means necessary. Like however it can protect or keep us comfortable, it will. So that sometimes looks like it partnering with our mind and creating story around something that has happened before. So say, for instance, a person reaches out to you and they go, you see the message, but you're in passing and you don't hit them back. But they see that Lamar read the message and Lamar didn't say nothing back to me. Lamar must be mad at me. That ignoring triggered their ego to go into protection mode. And in order for them to feel comfortable, because they're accustomed to being abandoned or ignored, or that story of being abandoned and ignored, that they all of a sudden attach a new character, i.e. Lamar, to that now new narrative. And so that happens in different instances. It happens in marriages, relationships, friendships. It happens, a person, you'll go to the Target and the cashier who may be, a woman. She doesn't speak, right? She's thinking about something else, thinking about her bills, thinking about her family, and all of a sudden she don't speak to you. And now you got made up a whole story about how she didn't speak because of what you had on and she was a hater. Or you'll be trying to have a business, you'll desire to have a business relationship with somebody, but they're caught up in their own world and they don't get back to you when they said they did. Now you done made up a whole story about how you're not worthy, you must not be ready because they didn't want to do business with you. And that's all a part of your ego creating story in order for you to show up in a space of safety and comfortable. Now, the ego is not a bad thing. I just want everybody to be clear about that. The ego is doing its job. But just like in every single space, you are the head and not the tail. When you allow your ego to manage you and you don't manage your ego, then the ego starts to think it's supposed to do the job that it's doing. It's supposed to keep you protected in this space. And that's not the case. But because the ego doesn't know any different, because you're the person who's supposed to manage it, but you're allowing it to manage you, your thoughts now create story around what's familiar to you. Now, say you come from a background that is of positive and high regard and people are always showing up for you and supporting you, then at the end of the day, your story will be, oh, okay, Lamar didn't hit me back because he's probably busy. You're assuming the best because your ego doesn't need to feel comfortable in a story of abandonment in order for you to keep moving through life. And so it's almost like a person making fun of themselves before another person has a chance to, so that they can go ahead and protect themselves against what you might be trying to do or trying to say. The ego is doing that. And your job is to show up in this space to manage your ego and not allow it to manage you, so that you don't make assumptions and then decisions that you later have to pay for or regret.
That's good, right? What I do want to do, I do want to correct one thing, because you talked about that grocery store clerk, right? And what I will say is, back in the day when I could go through the drive-thru before all this happened, I had a problem if somebody ain't speaking to me in the drive-thru. Let me know if you're watching this. If you watching this, right, and you feel like I feel like I give you, if I give you my money, you better say something. Don't just take my money, right, and turn around. Don't just hand me nothing back. If I get to that next window, when you hand me my food, you better thank me or something. And this is not a story that I'm telling myself, because at Chick-fil-A, they can always do it. So they can always do it at one place consistently, from city to city, from state to state, all around the country. These other places can do it too. So that's not a story I'm telling myself. That is the unbridled truth, right? I know it right there.
So it may be a truth, right? That may be a fact that indeed the folks at Chick-fil-A without fail always speak in the just be like, and what you want, what's next, right? But what you make of it as you leave is the story that your ego tells.
I'd be ready to knock the food out of one of them little 15-year-old hands. Boy, you better say something. You better speak, right? Get my money. I just knock the whole drink out of their hand. Roll off and peel off, right? I don't care. You keep that $8 or whatever. All right, stop playing, Precious. We got to get serious. Here. Stop messing around. All right, look, the comments, everybody in the comments agree with me, right? They like, that's not a story that we telling ourselves, right? I deserve, somebody said, I only deserve customer service courtesy. I love it.
You do, and that's true. But at the end of the day, if you take it personal, that's your ego. I'm not letting y'all off the hook. If you take it personal, that's your ego.
That ain't my ego. When I knock the drink out of this little boy, little girl hand, that's gonna be my ego. Right now. Right now. Let me do it. Hey, let me get back focused. Press, stop playing. Let's get back focused. People are here. All right, y'all. Hey, look, if you got questions, a few quick instructions for you. Number one, I need you to tag 3 people in this conversation down in the comments, because you know somebody that's going through a tough time right now. You know you have somebody that may be struggling, trying to figure out how to shift and pivot what's going on with their 9 to 5 of their job. You got people that are trying to figure out what to do with their business. Maybe they just launched one. Maybe they've been had one. They're in a tough spot, in a tough space. And we need to kind of shift their perspective, the way they thinking, their mindset around it, because I need them in this conversation. So make sure you tag 3 people right now and get them in on this conversation. The second thing I need you to do is I need you to give us some hearts, some likes, some emotions, whatever you need to do down in the actual emoji land, right, to make that actually happen, so we can get more people in this conversation, because this is something that needs to be seen. And then last but not least, right, we're going to go to questions in a second. So any questions you guys got for Precious, I need you to drop them down below. I'll pick them. I'll go through them. We'll ask her a few questions before we have to release her and let her go. She has a very busy schedule, y'all, so we got to make sure we respect her time. So make sure you drop that stuff in so we can get it as well. So Precious, let me ask you why they're dropping questions in, why they're tagging folks. Thank you. I see y'all already tagging people. Thanks, Shayla. I appreciate you. Thank you, Tanika. I appreciate you. Good. Everybody's tagging folks. Thank you, Delmar. I appreciate you. Precious, one of the things I love to hear you talk about is fear. And I know right now a lot of people are gripped by fear, right? Like I said, fear of what happens if I lose my job. Fear of, what happened if we don't open back up in the next 2 weeks, right? And I can't get this business back afloat. I can't make money in my business. Fear of what happens if, we in Georgia, right? So I guess everything open back today. I don't know, because I ain't going outside. But I guess everything is open today, right? So what fear of, like, wow, I'm afraid I have to go back to work, right? Because I need to make a living, but I'm afraid to actually be there because I'm afraid to get sick. But I don't have a choice. Like, I got to be there, right? Financially to provide for my kids. Like fear is huge. Like, how big of an impact does fear make? And then is there anything we can even do about it, or do we just have to live with it?
Yeah, that's another good one. So fear is one of my favorite topics to talk about, because for a lot of people, they feel like it's elusive, like they can't manage it, they can't grip it, they can't grab it, they can't, do anything with it. And so fear in itself is not a bad thing. And I talk about it from the perspective of understanding the different types of fears, because in order for you to manage fear, just like the ego, not a bad thing, just like money, not a bad thing, you have to be able to learn how to manage it, but you got to get to know it, right? You can't manage what you don't know. And so there's 4 different fears that I like to talk about. One is warning fear. So y'all type this in the comments, make sure that you get a full understanding of what this is. Warning fear is the natural, most talked about fear that gets blamed for pretty much everything. The warning fear is actually that feeling of warning fear is actually meant to keep you safe. That's the fear that says, hey, don't run in front of the traffic. Don't touch that hot stove. Don't make this mistake. Don't disrespect your mama, or else you'll get knocked out. Like, whatever that is, right? That fear, warning fear, is always meant as an indicator that there's danger ahead. And so be mindful, right? That fear is the first fear I like to talk about, most common. The second fear is that fear I like to call invitational fear. So invitational fear is that feeling that you get when it's time for you to do something big, when it's time for you to grab the mic and introduce yourself. It's the feeling I get, honestly, y'all, every time I get ready to step on stage. I know a lot of y'all are like, there's no way Coach P feels fear when she gets on stage because I have so much fun with it. But right before the DJ announced, right before Lamar calls my name, right before it's time for me to blaze the stage, I feel anxiety in my stomach, my underarm sweat. It's the whole nine. It's the feeling that you feel when you know that you're getting ready to do something amazing, go to the next level. It's inviting you somewhere. And then there's ego fear. Talked about ego a little bit before. Ego fear is that fear that when the ego's trying to keep you comfortable, trying to keep you quote unquote safe, it either causes you to show up way bigger than what you are. You walk in the room pretending like you got more than what you really have. You faking, you forcing, or you fronting, right? In an effort to stay comfortable, to be validated, to fit in, or to stay safe. Or that same ego fear could cause you to shrink, right? Cause you to dim your light when you see somebody else who you admire and you're in their same space, but you feel like, man, I can't be too bright because that might make them uncomfortable. That's an ego fear. And then the fourth one that I talk about is your trauma fear. Trauma fear is fear that is either passed down or it's fear that passed down from somebody else's traumatic experience where they're telling you a story, or maybe you grew up hearing about women shouldn't do, men can't do, black people shouldn't, small kids shouldn't, whatever that trauma is, right? Or maybe you heard that businesses, being an entrepreneur isn't safe because your great granddaddy was an entrepreneur. He spent all the family money and now it's not safe to move into entrepreneurship. That would be a traumatic fear passed down. Your trauma fear of yourself, right? Say in 2008 during the recession, you had a business and it failed. And now you have a fear of that happening to you again. That's a trauma fear. And so once you understand the fears that you're experiencing, the way that you manage those fears is putting yourself in a position to ask yourself, right? This is some self-talk, some journaling, some dialogue. What fear am I feeling, right? So say, I'm getting ready to go on stage and I have this paralyzing fear, like, oh man, I feel like I'm not enough. I feel like this is too much for me. Then I already know that that's an ego fear, right? And partly an invitational fear because it's inviting me to do something bigger, greater, higher. But also that ego fear is saying I'm not good enough. I'm not big enough. I'm not ready enough. And so being able to understand those fears helps you to manage those.
Oh, this is good, y'all. Hey, let me know down in the chat if y'all are enjoying this. One of the things I always tell Precious is that I ain't got no fear. I got that bone crusher fear. I ain't never scared. Y'all look like Precious hates it when I say stuff like that. It's like, Mom, we got to connect with your softer side.
Yes.
Later on, she'll be like, about that comment you made on the interview. I need to talk to you about that. All right, y'all. Hey, if you're enjoying this, drop a comment down below. Hey, I got you got a few more minutes. We can jump into a few questions.
I got plenty of time. Let's do it.
All right, cool. First question. How do you rebound from failure?
Ooh, that's a good one. So first of all, whoever asked that question, shout out to you for asking. The biggest thing about failure is that most people underestimate how beneficial failure is. First thing I would say in order to rebound is to understand failure, just like you're understanding fear, ego, money, and anything else that you find yourself resistant of. Embrace your failure, right? Instead of running away from it, being embarrassed about it, hiding it, embrace your failure. And then number two, that's number one. Number two, extract your lessons from failure, right? Be eager to extract what it is that you learned from the situation that you perceived as failure. And then number three, once you've decided to learn from that failure, now you know it's no longer a failure, but an actual win. And so now you can apply that lesson and then share it with others. But I would say the first thing is reposition, right? Shift your mindset around how you see failure and what it means to you.
That's good, y'all. Did y'all like that? All right, let's jump into the next question. The next question I had for you, Coach P, is it's a lot of comments. I'm like digging through stuff, a lot of comments. Here we go. Here we go. I think this one's from Shayla. She said, have you ever experienced the fear of success? And if you did, what mindset shift did you make to prepare yourself to achieve your dreams?
Absolutely. I've definitely had a fear of success. And even now, more so, I want to talk about two things with that question. That's a good question. So there is a fear of success and a fear of failure. but they're really more alike than they are different, right? The same space that fear of failure comes up from, so does that fear of success come from. And so when we say, I have a fear of success, ask yourself the question of, what is it that you fear would happen as a result of you becoming successful? Do you believe that you'd have to stop talking to certain people, leave certain people out? Do you believe that it would cause you to be in a higher, different position? And then for those who have a fear of failure, what do you believe would happen as a result of you failing? We just talked about failure in itself. And so now that you know that me failing means that I get to learn a lesson, I get to grow, I get to expand, and there's no way around it. Now you can show up in this space of fear differently, right? So look at the fear of success. Is that fear of success, why do you have it, right? What is it? Where is it coming from? What is your fear? And then the last question that I always ask clients who have the same question is your fear legit? Is the thing that you're fearing concerning your success an actual fear? And play it all the way out. Allow yourself to walk through the story from beginning to end. What's the worst case scenario? Is this something that you're assuming? Are you assuming the best or the worst? And so being able to really write it all out, journal out what your fears are they legit fears? And then walking yourself through what the full reality is typically helps to overcome that fear of success.
Yeah, and that's real good. Like I mentioned before, Coach P. Precious, also one of our performance coaches, was the original performance coach when we first started the mastermind. She came on the second cycle. We're about to start cycle 5 in June. Came on the second cycle, and she's been with us ever since. And I know we see that a lot with entrepreneurs, right? There's entrepreneurs that we can bring into the program. They scale, right? Everything's going great. We're amazing. This is awesome. The business is moving so fast, and then boom, it's like everything stops. And it doesn't stop because what they sell, the product or service, stops working. It doesn't stop because the advertisements stop working. It doesn't stop because people don't want what they sell. But oftentimes it's an internal mechanism in their mindset. And sometimes we can actually just tie that back to that fear of success, right?
Absolutely. And for most people who have never seen themselves accomplish something as big as what they're dreaming of, they start to quiver. And so a lot of it, again, goes back to the ego fear, especially when it becomes to the fear of success or failure is, I don't want to fail in front of other people. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look like I don't know what I said I know or what I think I should already know. And so that in itself stops people from moving forward and being willing to show up and get the lesson so that they can succeed. The most successful people in the TSP mastermind are those people who don't take personal their failure. They actually implement the lessons learned from it and they press the gas and move forward. And that's the case with any of the clients that I typically coach, is those people who know how to manage that interpretation of fear, and they see it differently than what their mama saw it, how their daddy saw it, how their peers saw it. They're not embarrassed by it. Their ego doesn't need to feel comfortable in always winning, always succeeding, because they know, if I'm not failing, I must not be trying something new. I must not be expanding myself. I must not be moving in the direction of what I've asked for. So I would say definitely, in order to manage that mindset of success or fear of success, is being willing to deem and determine what is success for you, right? What is your new level of success? Because for myself, and I even know for you too, Lamar, as I've seen TSP grow and been a part of the brand since 2016, that your level of success and what success means to you changes every year. What you deem as success in 2016 is definitely different than what you deem as success in 2020. And so understanding the differences in your success and how you're going to grow at it makes a difference. Not putting the cart before the horse, not trying to achieve the success that you saw so-and-so achieve before your time is a part of that managing of fear of success and failure as well.
Awesome. Hey, I got a question kind of around a cultural piece, right? Someone's asking, if you had any thoughts around why fatalism is so strong among people, especially black folks, like how to change it, right? And they say, for example, if someone in the family has diabetes, then they might just say, hey, that's just my fate in life to die of diabetes, right? So let me die fat and happy or something, right? You know what I mean? We see that sometime in our community. Any ideas or anything cultural, that's the larger question. Is anything cultural sometimes to the way we think and the way our mindset is kind of tuned in? Or is it does everybody across all cultures, all ethnicities kind of, face the same things and handle things the same way?
A lot of, so That's another good one. Got my brain like going all kind of ways. I'm ready to answer it from every direction. So the first thing I would say is every culture has its thing. I hear a lot of people saying, black people, and we say it in our own culture, well, that's a black thing, or that's a this thing, that's a that thing. Like every culture has its thing. That's number one.
Yes.
And number two, in our culture, what we typically do, because we are accustomed to surviving, a lot of our family members haven't transitioned to a place of thriving yet. It's hard for people to see themselves in this space of breaking or stopping or interrupting the cycles. And so a part of interrupting the cycles and patterns and behaviors that we've experienced or that have been passed down to us is asking the question, does this thought or does this agreement that was made in my family still serve? Is the agreement that we all going to have diabetes anyway, so we might as well eat what we want? Does that thought and that pattern and that behavior still serve me and what I desire for my family? And if not, then you're the perfect person to interrupt that particular pattern. If the pattern or if the thought is, well, people in my family typically don't start businesses, or they typically don't, handle money well, or people in my family we always procrastinate. That's what we do. We're always late. Does that narrative, does that storyline still serve what it is that you're trying to accomplish? If it doesn't, it's time to interrupt that pattern and create new behaviors and actions that move you in the direction and are in direct alignment with what it is that you want to achieve.
This is good, y'all. Hey, again, if you're enjoying this, make sure you drop a comment down below. My name is Lamar Tyler, creator and founder of Traffic Sales and Profit. We're joined today by Precious Bivings, a.k.a. Coach P, mindset performance coach, founder of MashCon 2020. And she is here talking about how you can take this time to go from a mindset of I'm just trying to survive through this time to actually being able to thrive through it mentally, physically, financially, whatever that actually may be for you and yours. Here's an easier question. I've been throwing some hard balls. Here's an easier question, Coach P. What books do you recommend to tackle and overcome some of these types of fears?
Ooh, that's good. So when you understand that fear is a part of the ego and your ego is trying to keep you safe, then one of the things that you want to do is start to unpack what that means for you. So, one of the things I mentioned earlier is about like not taking things personal, especially for you, Lamar, with the people at, other restaurants outside of Chick-fil-A. So
Time out. You try to slip that one in there. There's no slipping of anything. Everybody in the comments already agreed with me. So now you can carry on.
I'm taking everybody higher today. It's going to be different from here. So one of my favorite books is The Four Agreements. Y'all can see I got like tabs and sticky notes in it. It's by, of course, Miguel Ruiz. And if you've ever heard me speak, you heard me talk about this book. And so the reason why this book is one of my favorite go-tos is because it really breaks down how we can, first of all, interrupt those patterns and stop those non-serving behaviors and practices that no longer serve by really disagreeing with practices and behaviors that don't benefit us anymore. And so being able to apply the four agreements has been one of my greatest assets in my own personal development. One of them is not making assumptions, right? If you're going to assume the positive, but at the end of the day, don't make assumptions. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personal. And then, of course, showing up in this space of living full on when it comes to your own practice and personal beliefs about yourself. My favorite is always do your best. And so that's one of my favorite books. And then the other one is that I've been really talking about recently is The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. I don't have it in front of me. I was looking around to see. But The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success is by Deepak Chopra. And it talks about the very thing that we're experiencing now, like the flow of money and how it's currency, right? And so how even though in this pandemic, the currency of money is not stopping. It's energy. So it's not pausing just because people are freaking out. People are actually still generating, making money and circulating it. So those are my two favorite go-tos. The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra, and then The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz.
Awesome. It looks like The Four Agreements is a very popular pick. People in the comments are going crazy about it, saying they love that book. Amber Johnson said it's the best book ever. And I just did want to point out to Amber that I might disagree with that one because I got one that's even better right here. Traffic, Sales, and Profit, the ultimate step-by-step guide to creating consistent business revenue online. You can get it right now for free at freetspbook.com, freetspbook.com. Read that, Amber. It's going to change your mind. Four Agreements to be number 2 on your list. I'm sorry, Precious. Back to the conversation. All right. Here's a good one. They bringing the heat down in the comment section today. Somebody said, "What call to action would you give to us today? What do you want them to do? What should they take away? What should they do after hearing this conversation?"
That's my favorite question because I'm about that action. So the first thing I want you guys to do is show up in a space to get clear, right? Make a decision today to silence yourself. Don't allow this quarantine time. If you're in Atlanta, if you're in Georgia, shout out to all of our Georgians. We are with Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom. We are staying our bleepity bleep 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 in the house as we're continuing to practice social distancing. So don't allow this time in this quarantine and in this social distancing space to be in vain. Get quiet and get still. The whole world was quiet and still at one point. And so I took advantage of that by getting quiet and getting still so I can hear me. I believe that we all have our own internal compass that tells us what's best for us, what's next for us, and what direction we should be moving and shaking into. And so show up in that space of getting quiet and still so that you can hear your voice, right? And really unpack what it is that's next for you. The other thing is once you get clarity, right? Clarity is one of the best and most important tools or assets to your mindset is getting clear. Once you get clear, make a decision today, not tomorrow, not another day, but in today, make a decision about your life, right? I know a lot of people are like, man, Coach P, you want us to make a life decision in this moment? Absolutely. We're tired of you peeping in the blinds. We're tired of you pretending that you want it. We're tired of you saying, yeah, I'm going to do it, but never getting it done. We're tired of you pretending, faking, forcing, and fronting. Now it's time for you to show up in a space to make a clear and concise decision. Do you want it or not? Whatever it is. Do you want the success? Right? Do you want to break and stop the patterns and the cycles and the behaviors that no longer serve you and your family? Do you want something different? Do you want a delicious, beautiful, and amazing, exciting quality of life? Do you want to see yourself kiss your dreams in the mouth? What do you want? And whatever it is you want, make a decision today to commit and be consistent in it no matter what, right? No matter if somebody passes away. Commit that you will take the time to grieve. You will take the time to remember. You'll take the time to honor, but you will also take the time to press the gas. Make a decision that if your starts to shift, that you will not give up. Make a decision that if your kids start to move different, talk different, act different, that you won't give up. Make a decision for your life today that I'm going to win no matter what. I'll tell y'all a secret. I made that decision at 17 years old, and I've been winning ever since. Things haven't always gone my way. It hasn't went as I expected or as I predicted or even as I desired at every single turn. But no matter what I can promise and guarantee is that I've always won. I never lose. That is my core belief, that I am a winner no matter what, right? So either I am getting my desired outcome or I am learning the lesson, but it is impossible for me to lose unless I decide that I'm going to lose. So from this point going forward, make a decision, right? Exercise your power and make a decision about your life. That is the most important action you can take today.
All right. Who's going to make a decision about their life today? Will there be one? Will there be one?
I knew you was going to clap.
Doors of TSP and Black and Married with Kids are now open. Will there be one? Who ready to make a decision about your life, right? All right, Precious, how can they get more info on you? And then also, you got an event coming up, right? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I'm so excited. My first conference, everybody's been asking for, like, Coach P, when you going to do something? When you going to do something? And so I am excited to announce that MashCon 2020 is happening this year, September 11th and 12th. And it's a complete game changer. You can think of it as an opportunity just for your personal development and mindset. So I like to tell people that it's an experience that's for us, by us. So it's one of those Tony Robbins style, law of attraction infused Coach P mashup. This is the space where you want to attend so that you can go in every area in your life. More importantly, the most important three areas of your life, which is your health, your wealth, and your relationships. And so everybody wants to experience more beautiful, delicious, abundant, overflowing health, wealth, and relationships. And so MashCon 2020 is where it's at. And so you're going to get more information at mashconatl.com. And I'm excited. It's happening this year.
All right. Awesome. 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 And then how can they get in contact with you, Coach P?
So I'm all over social media, Facebook, Precious Bivings. We have a beautiful community called the MASH Collective. Lamar, I don't know if I told you this yet, but we just hit over 900 risk-taking, manifesting, bad influencers. I paused the word. I didn't say it. In that community.
You already know what I'm going to say next, right? I'm going to say,
Beatboxing.
I'm going to say congratulations, and then I'm going to say what?
Go higher.
Exactly. Congratulations. Now get to 1,000. we celebrate amazing 900. Now get to 1,000. Hurry up, get to 1,000 so I can tell you to get to 2.
Yes. Lamar never let you live in your success. He never lets you live.
I see some of the Mastermind fam, man. You know, I mean, I try my best. You know, I apologized the other day. I said, man, I want to celebrate with y'all, but whenever you tell me, hey, I had my first $10,000 month, all I can think about is, man, we still got about 8-9 more days. Let's get to 20 by the end of this month, right? You had your first $20,000 day. I'm sure you could do 30 if you just applied yourself a little bit more. So congratulations on 900. We're gonna get to 1,000 right around the corner.
Listen, he just reminded me, y'all, why I don't share stuff with him right away. I like to share it when I'm on my way to 1,000. I like to say, yeah, I hit 900 last weekend. I'm one away from 1,000.
Hey, like you said, mash on the gas, kiss your dreams in the mouth, right? Come on, let's do it. The dream is 1,000. Let's get to the. I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen what it looked like. We need you to get there. If y'all want Coach P and her group, right, the MASH Collective, to get to 1,000, drop a comment, drop a 1,000 in the chat right now. If you know that group can get to 1,000, right? If you're in the community, I need you to drop the link down in the actual chat for us. Tell them, what's the name of the community again so they can find it on Facebook?
It's the MASH Collective, MASH. We're talking about making amazing success or, shit happen. And so it's of course, on Facebook. And we definitely are going to supersede 1,000. I love the motivation from Lamar. He just don't let you live in it too long. So find on Facebook. It's the MASH Collective.
We let you make your announcement that you got 900. We let you live in it. You sat in it. Now we're on to 1,000. Let's go. Everybody, look, Christine got so many zeros, I need a minute to calculate that. I don't know if there's 1 million, 10 million, 100 million. There we go. People claiming it down in the comments for you. There we go. That's how we get to 1,000. We make it happen.
Let's do it.
All right. So y'all make sure you can follow her again. And one more time, the website for MashCon.
It's mashconatl.com. So somebody type it in the comments for us. It's mashconatl.com. Mashconatl.com.
There we go, guys. And I'm showing you there is the actual website right there on the screen. You can see the website. You can get a hold of it. That is what it looks like when you go to it. And again, right, thank you, Precious, for coming through today and sharing your information and insight. It's always an amazing conversation. If y'all love this conversation, do me a favor, drop some comments down below into the actual chat. Let Precious know that you appreciate her and let her know. I see people say they already are joining the collective, right? The MASH Collective. They're getting in the group. They're mixing it up and they're trying to get to that 1,000. I need to go in. I'm a member. I need to go in there and shake it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Tell everybody just y'all need to invite 3, 4, 5. What y'all just satisfied with 900? I mean, it ain't enough of us in here. We need more conversation in here. Like y'all ain't saying nothing. You ain't commenting, you ain't liking, you won't looky-loos, you looking at the Facebook lives every morning, but you ain't commenting. Let me know if you need me to do a live in your group, man. I can.
We're going to bring you on in.
Tag me in. All right, y'all. So appreciate it. Every day, pretty much, we'll bring you amazing content, amazing interviews just like today. And we are excited to help you, like we talked about today, not only survive through this time, but thrive through it. This is part of our TSP stimulus package. We're providing resources. We're providing money. We're providing mindset, right? Anything you need. So like I said, you not only survive through this period, but thrive through it. There's no reason that you should be living in lack. There's no reason that you have to do less. We have what you need. All you need to do is connect with a community of like-minded people. What happens if you have this type of conversation every day with yourself? What happens if you're surrounded by these type of people every day? Guess what? There's a place that can happen. That place is Traffic Sales and Profit with Lamar Tyler on Facebook. Love y'all, and we'll see you next time. Make sure you're joining the group every morning. We're in the middle of our 7-day More Sales Challenge for entrepreneurs, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on the challenge, 9 a.m. Eastern, there in the group. Peace. Have a great day.